So we are going to start this presentation. So thank you for joining this conference. We are going to do a short presentation, less than half an hour, of the 2024 annual results of Arcure Group. And after this presentation, we are going to allow everybody to ask any question so that we can have a direct interaction regarding the press release and the results of 2024. All right, so let's get started.
So good afternoon, I'm Jean-Gabriel Pointeau. I am a co-CEO of Arcure.
Good afternoon, I'm Virginie Grenianin and I'm working as Chief Financial Officer in Arcure.
And I am Franck Guéraud, Chairman and CEO of Arcure Group. So traditionally, we start by a summary of the company, presenting the key figures. So in 2024, the revenue of the group was 18.7 million euro. So in growth with regard to 2023, we achieved 81% of this revenue outside of France. Our main product, Blackster, is represented in this picture here. And we've installed approximately 25,000 Blackster around the world in the last 15 years since we created the company. The average growth over this period of 10 years was 33%. We sell products in more than 50 countries, and we are going to come back to a more accurate picture of our localization around the world. The team is approximately 70 to 80 people, with, of course, a center of gravity in France, but we have different offices around the world. We offer a complete range of AI solutions for off-road vehicles, and we are going to describe our product range into more details. And we are now the standard of our industry in the field of pedestrian safety around heavy-duty machineries. As I said, we have localization all around the world. In Europe, we have the main office in Paris, where we have our R&D and our administrative staff. And we have commercial offices in Spain, in Germany, in the UK, and we have a subsidiary in North America, in the US, where we have 12 employees right now. For the rest of the world, we are in partnership with local distributors that are representing our company commercially and technically also. Here you see a few pictures of our product installed on the forklift trucks in recent international trade shows. As you know, we start to have partnerships with construction and forklift truck vehicles. And for us, it's a matter of credibility. Being in partnership with those very large brands like Stihl or Jungheinrich is a key success, demonstrating the performance and the credibility of our solutions. On top of it, we've been awarded several prizes over the years, namely the BBBAO is supporting our solution in Germany, and we have all other awards that we won during the last years.
Okay, so now we will introduce shortly the type of product that we deliver to the industry. So starting with this image, showing a classical picture of the industry and where our equipment are used. So you can identify the forklift in an industrial environment, So in the short term, our job currently is to provide equipment and AI to improve safety and productivity of the forklift. And we believe that in the midterm, using the sensors we have on the forklift or construction equipment on sites, we will help to also improve safety and productivity for the sites themselves. So on the forklift, you can notice a small yellow camera. So this is the black stair camera. Historically, we have developed this technology since 2009 with artificial intelligence to prevent collision between forklift and people. Now I will come back on this in a few slides. We offer a complete platform with different functionalities to monitor and digitalize the forklift. Shortly, explanation on our know-how. So we started in 2009 with machine learning that we call now artificial intelligence. So on the left, we identify what we call our artificial intelligence framework as a key asset of the company, key asset which robustness has been proven via the 25,000 units in operation on more than 2,000 sites in the world. So what is this asset? This is all the processes we are using and we have established to modify and to train and to select a given artificial intelligence algorithm, and also all the know-how to create, to maintain, and to develop data set used for AI. As we started in 2009, we have been one of the pioneers in this type of process and development. And along the development, we have been benchmarked with large players like Valeo or Thales and other players to make sure that we have the right process and the robustness of our product in the field. I've shown that we have this know-how, how to provide to the industry a robust application using artificial intelligence. Why is it important? Because we see more and more application in the B2C, in the consumer business, using AI. And very often when we use it, we are quite disappointed because it does not really do the job. We cannot afford such experience in the industry. If we want to develop, we need to be close to 100% doing the job. Otherwise, industrial end users are not purchasing the equipment. So this is one of our assets. The second asset, which is very important for the performance and even more difficult to get, is the database. As we have been working in this business since 2009, we have a complete database of images from different industrial sites. This is unique and not easy to build because you need the authorization of the different sites. Those are private sites. And we have established this large data set that we use, of course, to have a great performance on our current algorithm, but can be used also to develop additional features. So those are today our two key assets to continue to develop on the AI technology in the off-road business. How do we address the market today? So we have two main channels. One channel is the aftermarket, and one channel is the OEM. So aftermarket, we call this for a large end users like companies like ArcelorMittal, for instance, or Forvia, or any end user of a forklift or of construction equipment. And so we have direct contact with the end user, and we propose them complete platform depending on what they like. It could be preventing collision with people with pedestrian detection, performing a check before starting with the OSHA checklist, vehicle detection, shock detection, access control, etc., and a complete solution to monitor this also directly from a dashboard, so that the site manager or the health and safety manager can monitor safety on his site. They can also evaluate the number of hours the equipment are used, etc. So this is what we provide in the aftermarket, complete package. In general, we sell it via distributor or dealers, even if we have the direct contact with the end user. So this is the aftermarket. In the OEM business, so what we call OEM business is manufacturers of forklift or construction equipment, and also the tier one in this business. So for those players, the objective is to provide them the technology. They have already a given architecture. They may have some processing unit. They may have some camera or not. And the objective is to provide some technological bricks. Could be, of course, pedestrian detection, but we are going further than this now. We are talking more about risk perception. We can define a specific roadmap around perception to improve safety and productivity on their equipment. And we can provide either pure software, or we can provide a piece of hardware like camera and the software on top of it, or processing unit and the software on top of it. Depends their wish on how to integrate this technology in their architecture.
So now we are going to describe the financial results of 2024. We did a press release this morning announcing the results, and in January we had already announced our revenue for the year 24. So we are going to start by the revenue. So in 2024 we did 18.7 million euro in revenue, split into 10.1 for the first semester, 8.6 second semester. So we've been growing approximately 3% with regard to 2023. Over the last 3 years, the growth was 80%. In 2021, we announced a target of 20 million euro for 2024. So we are close to this, to reaching this target. We hope to reach it and to do even more the coming months and years. We announced in December that it was not sure that we would reach the 20 million. So we announced it a little bit in advance, and this is due to some delayed orders. There are some challenges for some of our large customers in Europe and in North America with some uncertainties. And this is the main explanation for those delayed orders. So the split, the geographical split is comparable to the one we had last year. France remaining close to 20%, North America a quarter of the revenue, and Germany, Austria being the main block of revenue with more than 30%, driven essentially by the activity we have with large OEMs in those two countries. Regarding the profitability, so you know that we are communicating every semester on the gross margin because it's one of the main drivers of profitability for the company, and because we are doing a significant job on improving our gross margin over the years. As you can see on the graph presented here on the bottom right corner of the image, we grew from 49% to close to 60% this year in a matter of 3 years. This is due mainly to first, the stability of our price, and second, to the improvement we made on the production cost of our products. So at each generation of the product, we are able to reduce the production cost for better performance in order to improve the gross margin. And that's what we see on the figures. In 2024, we were still delivering a lot of our old version, Blackster 3, and this is why we have not reached the 60% gross margin. But with the current mix of production, with Blackster Origin plus Blackster 5, the latest generation of the product, we should be able to be over the 60% of gross margin for the coming semesters.
So the gross operating surplus, which is called EBE in our presentation, amounted to 3.5 million euros compared to 3.4 million euros in 2023 and represented 19% of our net sales. This gross operating surplus includes 2.4 million euros of capitalized production compared to 2 million in 2023. These items correspond to the development cost of the future generation of Blackster. Thus, the EBITDA stands at 1.1 million euros in 2024. Restated for the research tax credit, it stands at 2 million compared to 2.1 million in 2023. The operating result remained quite stable at 12 million euros, such as the net profit, which stands at 1.75 million euros. To present our P&L, we need to explain a specific change in 2024 in the accounting rules that now require that the R&D tax credit be presented as a reduction of the corporate income tax expense. The R&D tax credit was previously presented in other operating income in our P&L. So the 2023 figures that are presented here as pro forma are restated for this presentation. The operating result takes into account the amortization of Blackster for 2.1 million euros. The group has recorded a net financial loss of 0.4 million euros, which is mainly due to the financial interest on debt and currency effects. We can note an improvement of 0.2 million euros compared to last year, which is mainly due to a more favorable currency effect and lower interest expenses in 2024. Our non-recurring results correspond to the impact of investments in investment subsidies. So the income tax is a revenue of 0.9 million euros in 2024, mainly corresponding to the R&D tax credit. In 2023, the tax income corresponded partly to the R&D tax credit for 0.75 million euros and a deferred tax income on loss carried forward for 0.5 million euros. The net profit stands at 1.75 million euros, representing 9.4% of our net sales. At the end of the financial year, Arcure has had a cash position of 3.3 million euros. So this graph shows the evolution of cash during the year. We have generated a cash flow net of R&D investments amounting to 1.9 million euros. Then the change in working capital requirement is a consumption of 3.2 million euros. So you can see the main items contributing to this change, which are mainly the increase of the R&D tax credit receivable by 0.9 million euros, the impact of account payables for suppliers for 0.9 million euros, and the impact of inventories for 0.5 million euros. During the year, Arcure also raised 2.1 million euros of new debt from our banking partners to help finance innovation and also working capital financing. And we have continued our debt reduction of 1.2 million euros.
Thank you. So we are going to come back to the last 3 years. We have dedicated 2 pages to this part of our presentation. We thought it would be interesting to come back to the last 3 years because in 2021 we announced the target of 20 million euro revenue for the year 24. And we wanted to describe into more depth all the accomplishment we made during these 3 years. We announced it, it was not the end of the pandemic in 21. We were in the middle of this pandemic, and we thought at this moment that it was interesting to explain what would be the trajectory for the next 3 years and how we would reach growth and profitability. So we announced that we would double the revenue over the next 3 years. We announced also that we would reach profitability quite quickly. So the revenue grew from 10.4 million to 18.7. Naturally, we expanded internationally. So our international revenue grew from 69% to 81%. And the profitability grew also during this period, driven by the growth of the revenue and by the growth of the gross margin from 49% to 57.5%. The result is that we reached profitability in terms of net results during the period. And we reached 4.4 million euro in terms of gross operating surplus. So this is key to understand in order to see that not only we are in a growing market, but we are applying a very realistic policy where we try to protect our profitability. So we try to use our assets in order to grow as much as possible, but with some caution so that we maintain a good profitability over the years. This profitability and this growth are due to our operational accomplishment and the progress we made commercially and in terms of products also. In 2021, when we announced this target, we were still with the 3rd generation of the product, which was using an older hardware design and an older generation of AI. Right now, we have a product that is 2 generations after the one we had in 2021, that is using different hardware, different technology. And just to give you an example, the production cost of the current version has been divided by 2 compared to the 3rd generation of the product. So this is benefiting not only the gross margin of the product, but also the benefits we can offer to the customer, because for the same price, we can offer more performance, more features. We started in 2021 with the product delivering only pedestrian detection, and that was the only feature. Right now, we offer pedestrian detection at a larger range than the previous version. We detect vehicles, we detect QR code, we do localization of the vehicle with Blackster. All the Blackster are connected. We offer a web platform where customers can follow the detections and the heat map of their sites. So in fact, we have enlarged considerably the amount of features that we can offer to customers. And this is a way for us not only to be able to charge more to our customers, but to bring more value with the same initial investment. In terms of installed base, as we can see on this graph, we grew from 11,000 to 25,000, the installed base of Blackster.
So now we can talk about some perspective and strategic development of the company by 2030. So what we notice today on the market is that all the biggest players of our market, so here in the forklift business, but this is similar also in the construction equipment business, they are all currently defining a roadmap for artificial intelligence to help their customer to improve safety and productivity on their construction equipment or forklifts. So different functions can be concerned by AI development, of course, from the safety around the vehicle, but also the maintenance, the fleet management. And of course, with the objective to bring more and more autonomy and intelligence around the vehicle. So today there is clearly a momentum for perception technologies around this vehicle, and it starts to be a key driver of innovation for the largest manufacturers. So how do we position in this market? Today, what we believe is that this is the very beginning of artificial intelligence for the construction equipment and the forklift. We are talking more and more about what we call perception technology. So all the capacity of AI to understand better what's around. So this is not anymore about detecting a person or localizing a person. This is evaluating if the situation is at risk of collision with a person or with a vehicle. This is evaluating about the space available on an industrial site or potential risk for the future, because AI now is getting smarter and smarter. So our plan, in fact, at Arcure Blackstar is to focus on innovation brought by AI. You see that AI is developing very fast, and we see a huge potential of new functionalities for our key manufacturers. So this is clearly a key for us at the moment. Invest more on AI and new functions on software AI. And the second part of the development, which is key, is to develop more and more partnerships with those large players. So the partnership is not only to sell very shortly pedestrian detection camera or pedestrian detection software. This is far beyond this. The objective is to set up complete partnership, define a roadmap together, and identify what they want to manage by themselves, and where they need a player who has experience in developing perception systems and perception technology in their field. That's currently the key, and what we see is that all those large players are looking for partners, because historically their core business is quite far from AI and from perception technologies, and so we hear that clearly there is a need and a high potential on this with those large players. So here, this is a sum up of the potential of the market. So on the right, you see the global fit that we can address, excluding China. It's a bit less than 2 million units, new units per year, with the largest players. Currently, we believe that the players representing half of this are looking for establishing a roadmap to implement artificial intelligence in their machines. And today we are talking and have discussions with manufacturers and tier ones representing half of this business. So clearly, we strongly believe that in terms of volumes, in the coming years, the market will grow significantly. Considering that in addition of that, the market itself for the forklift, for instance, is expected to continue to grow by 66% by 2032. We are targeting to get and to announce some first partnerships this year. So it's progressing and it's getting more and more intense, but at the same time, we are dependent on the internal choice of architecture and roadmap from those large players. So it does not go always as fast as we want, but clearly things are moving, and we we expect to be able to announce some partnership this year. So this is the last slide of the presentation. This is a sum up of our strategic vision. So on the left, we want to highlight the fact that we are in an environment with a lot of fast development. So first, the artificial intelligence hardware for embedded equipment is developing very fast. It was not the case some years ago, but now we see more and more processing unit able to bring more and more power even on vehicles. Second point is, of course, everybody is hearing about it every day. The artificial intelligence community is bringing faster and more powerful neural networks, very fast pace. So this is very useful because all those neural networks could be used then afterwards and modified, of course, to bring some new functionalities with less and less power. And what we also see is that end customers, they are ready now to use AI. It was not the case some years ago, but now they are familiar more and more with this technology, and so they are expecting to use AI to improve safety and productivity on their site and on their vehicle. So considering this very fast-paced evolution of the environment, we have decided to focus on our know-how, which is artificial intelligence, an artificial intelligence framework, the software and perception system. We believe that we are a quite small and agile company. We have contact with the end users. We have contact with the technology. We have the know-how because we have shown with our product that we are able to provide on the vehicle solution with AI that do the job. This is key in this market. You need to have a robust solution. This is not like a consumer application using AI, where today we see more and more new application, but this is very often quite disappointing. We cannot afford this in the industry. When we propose a solution to the industrial customer, you need to be robust, and it shall be very efficient. So based on our experience, we are able to iterate between the technology and the users to help reducing time to market for the big players and bring some new functionalities to those equipment. So this is one of our target, of course, enhance and develop more and more partnerships with large players. And also we will continue to sell a complete solution to the end users in the aftermarket. So this is what currently we are executing. This is the digitalization of the vehicles. This is what we do at the moment. And the next step we see, probably by the end of the decade, is to use all those sensors and AI to connect and to bring also improvement of safety and productivity on the industrial sites and the work sites. So that's a quick sum up of the vision we have today. We believe this is really the very beginning of a new story on AI on off-road vehicles and industrial sites. So we are reaching the end of this presentation, and we will be glad now to. So we thank you first for your interest, and we will be glad to listen to your questions.
So yeah, Leo and Sanders, you can unmute your mic, Mr. Sanders, and ask directly your question.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for taking my questions. I would have 3 questions to you. The first question is, what are the main reasons for the significant reduction in profitability in the second half of the year compared to the first half? And the second question is, in the last call for the preliminary results, you mentioned that you are considering to present a new long-term target in this presentation for the full year. So what happened, as there is no new long-term target, so financial target, and could you maybe give at least some more color on your financial expectations for the current year? And the last question is, so you talked a lot about or on your new strategic roadmap for 2030. How do you think to finance this R&D that you probably need and the growth that you are expecting? So do you think you can finance this without any further capital increase?
So I can start by the profitability question. So the revenue of the first semester was 10.1 million, and it was 8.6 for the second semester. The gross margin was approximately the same. You know that we have some fluctuations in the gross margin due to the channels of distribution, due to the territories of sales, but we have not seen any change in the gross margin from the first semester to the second semester. It's approximately the same gross margin. That being said, when you do less revenue, obviously you finance less fixed costs with the gross margin. So having smaller revenue for the second semester, obviously the bottom line is not the same. So that's, I would say, if I do a average and global analysis, that's the global picture. But there is no trend downward for the profitability of the company. It's really linked to the level of activity. That's really what we have to monitor. In fact, the contribution to the profitability of the company is first the revenue, and we know that we need to grow. And second, what is the rate of gross margin? And this rate of gross margin is improving, especially with the new generations of products that are much more profitable than the previous ones. So that's the answer regarding the profitability. Regarding the long-term perspective, so we have basically decided that we would not communicate on a specific target for the coming years. However, we have a plan, of course. We have a long-term plan for the company. We have a business plan with projections for the future and also with different hypotheses. The problem we have in giving a long-term target is that we have a lot of uncertainties related to different things. First, to the volume that we will sell to the OEMs. We know that we will sell to OEMs, but we are not exactly sure of first what we will sell to them, and second, what will be the penetration rate to the OEM. The second is, are we going to sell more hardware, more software? The mix between hardware and software is going to impact significantly first the revenue and second the gross margin. So with all those uncertainties, if we give now a target, let's say for 2028 or 2030, we are almost sure that this is going to be completely false. And being a public company, on the day we give a target, we are creating an obligation to communicate very accurately on the updates, and this is generating a lot of stress on the communication with investors. So on the day we would be more sure about, for example, the mix between software and hardware, or when we will have more visibilities with our OEM relationship, maybe we could be able to give more visibility. For the time being, we have our plan, and this plan, I think, is very well represented by the analysts. So you can refer to the analyst, and I think they have a good average vision of the future of the company. But at this stage, for us, we know that we are ready to produce. For example, if we win 2 more OEMs during this year, with the new generation of Blackstar 5, we are ready to produce in very large quantities. But giving a target for us would be unreasonable at this stage. Maybe you answer
Yes.
the question?
Just to complement your point on the OEM, in fact, each talk with OEM is a different story because each OEM has its own legacy with its architecture. So for instance, some OEM, they already have the hardware, etc. They only want the software. Some of them, they want a camera with the software. Some of them, they want a processing unit with the software. And they want also sometimes different functionalities. So that's why at the moment there are many uncertainties on this. And it depends a lot on the architecture choice of implementing this the technology on the in their vehicle. To complement the answer of Frank. And so the last question was for 2030, if we need some finance for R&D and growth. So at the moment, we have a sustainable growth, and we are still planning to have a sustainable growth. We make like a 10% net result. So our plan is to continue to be independent. And we are able today, since we are now focusing more and more on software, and we are for the hardware, we can find some hardware on the market or some partners. So we have the capacity to develop and to develop new functionalities for the OEMs, and also some OEMs are ready to pay to accelerate our roadmap. So that's currently the plan. So we don't expect, we don't need, I would say, we have a plan without needing additional finance. Then, of course, it doesn't mean that we might not in the future have a specific business plan to accelerate the growth. But at the moment, there is no need of raising money on the market or whatsoever.
Okay, is that okay with you, Mr. Sanders? Any further question?
Yeah, we can take other questions if you want.
I have a few minutes left if you have other questions.
So if no, oh, okay, it's another one.
Go ahead.
Okay, then I might take another one. So could you maybe describe a bit about the process with the OEMs you are talking with? So I think there's some kind of tender process, and then I don't know, is there some pilot phase that they are trying to integrate your solution and also other solutions, and then they decide, or how is this going?
So in general, what happens with OEM is that they have some tender phase, which are more or less official. So there are some official tenders that are expected shortly. Even if in reality, so all OEM, what they do is that they purchase few units of different actors to try about the technology, because this is quite a new technology. So this is why at the moment we are in contact, and we have test pilots with quite many OEMs at different level. Then for some of them, we are helping them to define their roadmap, their AI roadmap, because they are not fully aware of the potential of the technology. And then that will help them to then make official request for quotation sometimes. So for each, I would say that for each company, you have a different process. We have also received sometimes some request for quotation, but then in the middle of it, the OEM is changing his mind, because this is quite new. They are not mature yet to define clearly internally and to agree all together with the different business unit what's the plan. So we help them proposing different alternatives, I would say, to integrate our solution. So what we can say is that at the moment, maturity at OEM is growing, and talks are getting more and more intense. So most of OEMs clearly understand that this is key now to go forward and to implement this technology.
Thanks.
We have a written question, so maybe we are going to answer them. The first I see on my wire is the number 3, but I will start by this one, and then I will give you answer the others. Yes, we have discussions. I think we are saying it every semester. We have very regularly discussions with industrial companies that are interested in large-scale partnerships, technological partnerships, buying shares of the company, even complete takeover of the company. So we have discussions around those matters on a regular basis. The typical partnership or the typical company that would be interested in acquiring Arcure is not a pure OEM, I would say. Why? Because then they are cutting the market of all their competitors. So usually, I think that the partnership that is creating the most value is more a partnership with a tier one equipment manufacturer. So equipment providers to the OEMs. But if an OEM, like let's say Caterpillar, one of the leaders in the world, would like to acquire a company like us, they would cut the market to all their competitors. So it's not necessarily the best solution, and it's not the traditional way to do it. So yes, we have such discussions on a regular basis, but yeah, the typical target is more tier one equipment manufacturer.
So I can answer. So then there are two other questions. One also regarding the OEMs. So I think we have already partially answered. So yes, many OEMs have tried Blackstar product, and they are aware of it because they are pushed sometimes by their end customer or our customer to implement it factory fitted. That's the strength of having a large partnership with large users of construction equipment or forklift. And question, what would be the potential obstacles preventing them from signing on Arcure? I like very much this question because this is a question we also have every day on our plate. So clearly today, this is the maturity of OEM. This is the point I was addressing just before. Like each OEM, they have their own legacy, they have their own objectives, their own vision of the market. And sometimes they are far from the user. Sometimes they are close from the user, but they are also managing a lot of different challenges. But what is the clear feedback we have from now is that many of them are looking for a path internally to implement AI with the roadmap they already have, because they all have a roadmap to integrate the electrification of the vehicles, the new norms, etc. So this is, I would say that the main obstacle is to help them to decide quickly. So this is why we are pushing and we are showing some flexibility around that. Because this is what we can bring them. We are small and agile, and we can be flexible to adapt to help them to have a short time to market. So this is the way we handle this. How fast that could ramp up? Good question. It depends of the choice they have made again for implementation, and sometimes they have to do some work on this. So it also depends on how fast they can be to develop. But to give you some examples, for some OEMs, probably you need 2 years of integration or so, and then the ramp up. For some others, it can be much faster because, for instance, if they only purchase a smart camera and they want to connect it with their display, it could be 6 to 9 months, and then they need to push that in their marketing to ramp up. So I would say between 15 months and 3 years, more or less. But then what is important is that when we talk with OEM, in general, they are addressing product lines with minimum 50,000 vehicles per year. And they don't do that to have 1% penetration rate. So they all expect penetration rate above 10% before the end of the decade. So we are talking about large volumes.
Question number 1, I can answer. We are receiving some of the orders that were expected end of last year. And the overall activity is more or less in line with our budget. The macroeconomic conditions are not excellent, but I'm not teaching you anything. You know that the uncertainties on the tariff and the geopolitical uncertainties are generating some anxieties among investors, and our customers are reluctant to invest in some countries. However, we have a significant commercial activity. It's really very, very high compared to our history. So we are confident that we are going to reach our targets for this year, but it's early in the year for the moment. So we are monitoring closely the activity for each country, and we are, again, like we did last year, very realistic with regard to our cost in order to adjust our cost to the activity in order to always be profitable.
To complement Frank's feedback, what we can say is that the large customers who have planned to deploy Blackster are still planning to deploy Blackster, but then they are dependent on their own freeze or not freeze of the investment. But so we are still in contact with them, and some of them few of them are starting to defreezing their investment. Some of them are still slowing down their deployment, but it could change in the coming months. And also something very important is that we still continue to deploy our customer base. So we are still convincing some new large players to start to select Blackster and to start the deployment. So that's why we also see that end users want this technology, and the customer base continues to develop. Then, of course, there is the macroeconomy, which is holding some of the investment. But anyway, we continue our job to deploy, to push for the Blackstar deployment and to extend our customer base.
Do we have other questions? Okay, so we are going to close this discussion. Thank you very much for attending this presentation.
Thank you very much. Wish you a nice day.
Thank you very much.